A sledgehammer hits a stone wall in a regular basement in central Turkey. The year is 1963. A man is just trying to remodel his house in the province of Cappadocia. He swings again. The stone crumbles, the wall collapses, and instead of finding dirt, he looks into a pitch-black void. A cold draft hits his face. He grabs a lantern, steps through the rubble, and finds a hand-carved stone tunnel leading straight down into the earth. He has no idea he just opened the door to a massive, hidden subterranean metropolis. This is Derinkuyu. It is a vertical megastructure plunging 280 feet into the volcanic rock. It goes down 18 stories deep. It did not just hold a few dozen refugees. It was engineered to sustain up to 20,000 people and all their livestock completely cut off from the surface for months at a time. You walk through those tunnels today and the air is completely fresh. That is because the builders carved over 15,000 ventilation shafts into the rock. The main shafts drop 180 feet straight down from the surface. They act as massive lungs for the city. They pulled clean air down to the very bottom level, even when thousands of people were cooking, breathing, and living in the dark. The engineering gets crazier when you look at the water system. The city had its own secret underground wells that tapped directly into deep aquifers. The builders deliberately did not connect these wells to the surface. They knew an invading army would try to poison the local river or cut off the water supply. By keeping the wells completely internal, the citizens had an endless supply of clean water that no enemy could touch. The security matrix inside this place is terrifyingly efficient. If an invading army managed to find one of the hidden surface entrances, they stepped into a literal death trap. The tunnels are deliberately narrow and low. You have to walk through them hunched over, moving in single file. This completely neutralized the advantage of an enemy army. You could not swing a sword or rush forward with shields. Then you hit the doors. The builders carved massive, circular rolling stone discs right out of the walls. These stones weigh up to half a ton and measure up to 5 feet across. They operate on a simple, deadly track system. A single person on the inside could roll the stone across the tunnel, sealing it completely. The outside of the stone is perfectly smooth and flush with the walls, meaning there is absolutely nothing for an attacker to grab, pry, or pull. It could only be moved from the inside. The center of each stone has a small hole. It served two purposes. It let light through, and it acted as a gun port or spear slot to kill anyone trying to breach the door. This was an unassailable fortress, but it was also a fully functioning society. The top levels were used for livestock. The builders carved out stables, mangers, and troughs right into the soft, volcanic, tough rock. Keeping the animals near the top made sense. It kept the smell and the waste close to the surface where it could be managed, and it made it easy to bring them down quickly when an alarm sounded. As you go deeper, the city transforms into a sprawling urban center. There are domestic living quarters, massive communal kitchens with blackened ceilings from smoke, and huge oil presses. They had wine presses with drainage channels carved into the floors. They were storing thousands of gallons of wine and oil deep underground to keep them cool and preserved. They even built an educational and religious infrastructure into the bedrock. On the second floor, there is a massive room with a barrel-vaulted ceiling. It was a religious school, complete with study benches carved straight out of the cliffside. Deeper down on the fifth floor, the tunnels open up into a massive cruciform church. It is a cathedral carved entirely out of the dark earth. The Phrygians started carving these caves around the 8th century BC. Centuries later, during the Byzantine era, Christian populations expanded them into the massive network we see today. They were fleeing the Arab-Byzantine wars. They needed a place to disappear at a moment's notice, and they built the ultimate panic room. The psychological reality of living here is intense. Try to picture thousands of families crammed into these dark, winding passages for months. The only light came from small linseed oil lamps placed in tiny niches carved into the walls. The air would be thick with the smell of livestock, burning oil, and human sweat. The acoustic design is brutal. Sound travels incredibly well through stone tunnels. You would hear every baby crying, every footstep, and every whisper from 3 levels away. But the most terrifying part is what was happening right above your head. Roman or Arab soldiers could be marching across the surface, burning your crops, destroying your home, and searching for you. You would be sitting just 100 feet below their boots in absolute dead silence, holding your breath so they would not hear you through the air vents. One cough could betray 20,000 people. The city is structured with an insane level of strategic redundancy. Every single neighborhood was completely self-contained. If an enemy somehow cracked the first line of defense and broke through a rolling stone door, the citizens could retreat further down. They would just roll the next half-ton stone door shut on the level below. The deeper you go, the more secure it gets. They even built escape routes within the escape routes. A hidden 3-mile tunnel connects Derinkuyu to another massive underground city called Cappadocia. If one city was completely compromised or about to fall, the entire population could silently migrate through the dark to a completely different underground fortress miles away. This is not a crude cave system. It is a highly sophisticated, multi-tiered urban marvel that rivals modern civil engineering. The builders understood structural integrity perfectly. The volcanic rock in Cappadocia, known as tuff, is soft enough to carve with basic iron tools when it is first exposed to air, but it hardens significantly over time. The architects knew exactly how much rock to leave behind to act as pillars. They calculated the weight of the mountain above them. If they made a single math error, or if they carved a room too wide without proper support, the entire 18-story complex would have collapsed in on itself like a house of cards. Yet thousands of years later, there are zero signs of major structural collapses inside Derinkuyu. The scale of excavation is hard to comprehend. The builders had to remove millions of tons of solid rock by hand. They did it without heavy machinery, dynamite, or modern haulers. They used chisels, hammers, and baskets. They had to carry every single pound of excavated rock up thousands of narrow, steep steps to the surface, and they had to dispose of the dirt completely out of sight. If an invading army saw massive piles of fresh excavated rock outside a village, they would know instantly that an underground city was nearby. The builders had to scatter the debris across the landscape, hiding the evidence of their massive project in plain sight. Derinkuyu was completely abandoned for centuries. The local population eventually stopped using it as a permanent refuge, and the entrances were covered by dirt, forgotten by time, and built over by modern houses. It sat in total darkness for generations until that single sledgehammer blow in 1963. Today, archaeologists have only mapped about 10% of the entire complex. There are still dozens of blocked tunnels, sealed doors, and deeper levels that have never been explored. We are looking at a massive, ancient engineering achievement that we still do not fully understand, hidden right beneath the feet of ordinary citizens. The sheer scale of this subterranean footprint forces you to rethink what ancient humans were truly capable of accomplishing. This was not a temporary campsite or a primitive bunker. It was a masterpiece of urban planning. The architects designed specific waste disposal zones to prevent the spread of disease in the cramped, humid air. They carved out deep, dead-end pits used exclusively for garbage, keeping the living areas sterile. They understood the mechanics of airflow so perfectly that even the smoke from the cooking fires was funneled into specialized chimneys that dispersed the fumes horizontally through the upper layers of rock. This meant an enemy on the surface would not see columns of smoke rising from the ground, which would have instantly given away the city's location. Every single inch of the city was optimized for survival under extreme pressure. They carved small, shallow depressions into the floors to catch condensation, ensuring that not a single drop of moisture went to waste. The walls themselves still bear the rhythmic, diagonal chisel marks of the thousands of unnamed workers who labored in the dim torchlight, hacking away at the earth to protect their families from total annihilation. You can still feel the desperation and the genius baked into the stone. They turned the very earth beneath their feet into an impenetrable shield, creating a monument to human endurance that survived empires, wars, and the passage of millennia, completely undetected by the modern world. The psychological toll of this existence is etched into the very layout of the deep-tier dead ends. If a citizen died during a siege, you could not simply carry the body to the surface for burial without risking exposure to the enemy scouts patrolling above. The builders solved this by carving out dedicated, tight mortuary niches deep within the lowest, coldest levels of the rock. Bodies were sealed behind thick slabs of stone with lime mortar to contain the odor until it was safe to return to the sun. This meant the living ate, slept, and prayed just inches away from the tombs of their relatives. They sacrificed every comfort of the open air, trading the sky for a dark labyrinth of absolute security.